Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull, and we just got some breaking news that Tennessee will be going to Orlando on January the 1st to play up against Iowa in the Citrus Bowl. Okay, now that is a higher bowl than I thought Tennessee would end up in, and I'm actually really happy that we are going to play in that bowl. Saw some of Iowa play, and that's a game that Tennessee should definitely win. And the question is really going to be how many players are going to stick around and play in that game. How many people are going to try to opt out? Just because I do feel like Tennessee should be pretty heavily favored in that game. Also, can we shut them out the way that Michigan did? I think that we want to come out and try to prove a point to the entire country that the SEC is a more dominant conference than the Big Ten. And, I fully expect for Tennessee to absolutely smash Iowa. Again, only question is how much are we going to win by and what players are going to be playing in that game. So we'll have more coming out, obviously, as we can break down some more film on Iowa. You guys know how we do on this channel. We will have as much information as we can possibly bring to y'all, in these next couple of weeks leading up to that game. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what the playoff picture looks like. Everyone is talking about Florida State kind of getting snubbed. And, I feel like it played out about as well as it could, at least for me and for P. We didn't want Georgia getting in. We really didn't want Bama getting in either, but it wouldn't have really made a lot of sense to keep Alabama out. And Florida State, they're down a quarterback that didn't look great last night. So I completely understand why they are left out, and it is an unfortunate situation. But again, that's why it's good to have a 12-team playoff that we're going to next season to, just try to negate as much of that type of stuff as we possibly can. Now, whenever you look at those matchups, right? So we're talking about in the Rose Bowl, Alabama's going to be playing Michigan. I think that Alabama should be able to handle Michigan pretty easily. Again, I think that's a game that the only real question is how much is Alabama going to win by? And then, in the Sugar Bowl, we've got Texas versus Washington. To me, that game is going to be a lot closer than the Alabama-Michigan game. And, it's going to be very, very interesting to see who comes out of that one. I'm picking Texas, though. I'm picking the national championship to be Texas versus Alabama, the rematch. And I feel like that is kind of starting to turn into a bit of a rivalry. So it'll be a whole lot of fun. There are some other good matchups, too, in bowl season. Let's talk about it. All right, so as of the time that I'm making this video, all the bowls have not been selected just yet, but we're going to take a look at the ones that have already been selected, and we'll go to the Fiesta Bowl, Oregon versus Liberty. I don't think that that's going to be too much of an interesting game. I feel like Oregon should probably handle Liberty pretty well. Obviously, Liberty is going to get up for this game because they've never been in a bowl of this magnitude. So, it could be interesting from that perspective, but I expect for Oregon to be favored by probably 20 plus points. And then the next one that we've got is Florida State versus Georgia in the Orange Bowl. So again, man, we are all very happy that Georgia is not going to be able to three-peat like all their fans are always talking about. Oh, three-peat this, da-da-da-da-da. We're the best team in the land, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Guess what? You're going to a regular bowl just like everybody else, all right? So, all right, that's a New Year's Six bowl, all right? So it's not a regular bowl, but it's not a playoff bowl. So sorry, guys. You guys get matched up against Florida State, who actually could beat you if they can get any kind of quarterback play. Now, that would be very embarrassing to lose to Florida State, who really would have been more favored to get into the playoffs than y'all were. They're playing with the backup quarterback. So I'm hoping that Florida State can beat Georgia in that game, but I would not hold my breath because, again, Florida State is going to have to figure some things out at quarterback. Next game is the Peach Bowl, and it's going to be Penn State versus Ole Miss. I think that this is going to be a pretty good matchup just because Ole Miss is a team that's got a really good offense, okay? They play decent defense, but Penn State is a team that plays good defense, and they've got an okay offense. So it's going to be, to me, a very interesting matchup. And, I'm very interested to see who is going to be favored in this one. I'm going to put my money on Ole Miss to be able to squeak this one out. I would not mind seeing Coach Franklin and Penn State pulling this one off, but I just don't think that they've got enough offensive prowess to be able to keep up with what Coach Kiffin is going to bring to them coming up here in a few weeks. Next game is the Cotton Bowl, and that's going to be Ohio State versus Missouri. Now, I've heard a lot of people on this channel kind of saying that Ohio State was one of their best 4 teams in this country. And, I can understand that argument to some degree. I wish that they would have got matched up against somebody like, Georgia, or, the way that I wanted for the playoff picture to pan out had Alabama out of the playoffs. And I wanted to see Ohio State versus Alabama, again, or Georgia. But they get Mizzou, and, I'm just afraid that it's going to turn into a situation where Ohio State's going to look really good beating up on an overrated Missouri team. I don't think that Missouri is that great of a team. I think that they have overperformed tremendously this season. And, I kind of have a feeling that Ohio State is going to end up blowing them out. And it doesn't really, make me any difference necessarily, because I don't like Mizzou. I don't like Coach Drink. I don't like their whole deal. I don't like none of those guys over there. All right. So I'm pretty much more or less rooting against all of the SEC teams. All right, and that's going to be it for this video, because that's all the bowls that we know of for sure at this moment, at the time of this video. But obviously, we will know a lot more in the next coming hours. So I hope that y'all enjoyed it, and I hope that y'all are excited about going to the Citrus Bowl and getting an opportunity to play up against a Big Ten team in a game that Tennessee should look really, really good in on a national stage, okay, on New Year's Day. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.